Hello everyone, welcome to week 7. We're at the home stretch, just thinking of this week and next week, and you'll be done with another set of courses. So congratulations ahead of time, but there's still work to do to get there. So let's give a focus for this week. This week, the two primary topics will be looking at nutrition services. I know it says cafeteria here in topics, and then maintenance and operations, or good old M&O, taking care of facilities, your grounds, and all of those pieces. So those are the two components for the topics for this week. The Christian message, just a reminder for you to take that time, read from 2 Thessalonians 3, 6 through 13, and that focus on doing the work and making sure that we focus on the work. So I encourage you to do that. So what's the work that's expected for the academic work this week? So chapters 13 and 14 of school finance. Chapters 13 is the maintenance and operations chapter at M&O, giving you an overview of how that budget looks, and there's a lot of different factors that come into it. I will tell you personally, for me in Tustin, most of my M&O operations budget I don't have to worry about, except if there's a special project that I need done, something installed, something torn up, that is not normal everyday life, then that is billed to me as a school, and I have to find a way to fund it. Otherwise, it is just a part of the district for Tustin Unified. I know other districts require and give a component into your budgets saying this is what you can work with for the different needs of your school, and working on it. Issues such as everyday plumbing issues, construction, those kinds of elements that fall into play. And they'll talk about the deferred payment of plans and process. So that's for M&O. And then chapters 14 is on food services. Again, feeding of students. I'm sorry, I don't know where that came from. Feeding of students. Looking at the National Lunch Program, Breakfast Program, and having those reflections on what they do. A big thing to remind you in all of that is that the National Free and Reduced Lunch Program, it really is a reimbursement. So districts have to put money up ahead of time and then be reimbursed. So something to pay attention to, but really addressing the need of students and malnutrition or just being simply hungry. The other two components, besides the self-test that you can take for chapters 13 and 14, are the local control funding formula from the Ed Data website. So if I look at that page, just another component about reminding us about local control. This really will tap in and reminding you to think about it for your assignment number 5, your final assignment. Not due this week, but due the next week. So just those reminders. And then the other component to click on is the National School Lunch Program. And this is the California Department of Ed website that gives you links to the program and what it is, benefits, all those pieces that come into play. So those are the two other things to read and get an overview on. Then you've got your self-paced lessons, looking at, again, good old M&O, food services, and trends in food services. We, in California, have certain sets of standards for what our students can eat, and then our federal government also has certain standards. So that comes into cost factors as well. I will be honest, it's typically not something that I have to worry about as much as an administrator. The bigger push is making sure that we have as many people as possible applying for the free or reduced lunch program, because that, again, is one of our categories of those that qualify being identified as individuals who can be serviced as for a supplemental grant for local control funding formula, or LCFF. Then the discussion board for this week is just share with me and the group what you know about the National School Lunch Program, what procedures are used in your district to identify who's eligible, and how does the number of students identified for free or reduced lunch impact the other areas of your school. Hint, 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 supplemental grants, those components. Then looking at the weekly assignment, there's nothing officially due this week. The course evaluation starts coming up, so would appreciate that feedback. But I want to get really quickly into assignment number 5. That is, again, the mock budget planning. This was the one that you were invited to when you talked with your principal for the first assignment, which was the current budget and how it was being spent, to be able to present to your staff. This one is a planning for the future, and it's more a narrative form, where the other was a PowerPoint. This is more of a narrative write-up. This is considered the signature assignment for this course, so others will have access to evaluate what you're gaining and learning from this course as you write this up. Questions have already come up. Hey, Will, I feel like this is going to be pretty similar to assignment number 1. I don't disagree with that. I think the information could sound very similar, but trying to think future or think of possible new goals that might come up next year and how you'll fund for those goals, whether it's in professional development, technology implementation, those components that you need to think about, whether it's with your administrator or if you want to take on the role saying, this is how much my admin shared with me, this is how I'd set up those goals, and it's written in a narrative form. I'm going to put up 2 samples. They're not the 100% A+ samples, but they are samples of what your assignment can look like. One is from an elementary perspective, one from a secondary perspective. One includes a spreadsheet to sort of give the budget after discussing it. The other leaves it out. So you'll see both options in there. It's just a reference point for you. So you'll see that under announcements. Just to give you a quick look, this is Sarah is the elementary perspective, and hers is in a narrative form like I shared, and you'll see percentages and dollar amounts in there. The other perspective is one from Jacqueline, and Jacqueline is the secondary. Like I shared, the writing is there, and then I'm scrolling very quickly. I apologize for that, but just wanted you to see there's her breakdown afterwards. So either option is acceptable, just making sure you're addressing the prompts. But for those of you that are feeling like, Will, this might sound similar to what I wrote about or discussed with assignment number 1, there could be those similarities because next year you can continue on with the program or your goals for your school site. But really is trying to get you to break down and think about that. So that is assignment number 5 that is due in week 8. So it again is not due this week, but it will be due not this Friday, but next Friday. So literally a week from this upcoming Friday is where you will see that is due. We will be meeting, not this week at all, it's just discussion boards, but the reminder is we'll be meeting on Wednesday the 28th for presentations. There will be 5 groups that will be presenting, so we want to make sure that we're ready to listen to them. I won't have a direct discussion for that week. It'll just be the presentation. So as always, email, text, or call if you have any questions. I hope that you have a great week. God bless.